The princess and the frog had something, but everything fell apart when Tiana turned into a frog. That is not an original statement. That's what everyone says, and it's true. I'm not even the first person to make a video about an alternate timeline where Tiana doesn't turn into a frog. Channel Awesome did a What If Tiana Didn't Turn Into a Frog video. I'll make sure not to repeat the story beats from that video's execution. For starters, I'm going to have both Tiana and Naveen stay human. I'm going to have this timeline follow the movie up to a point. So like in the movie, Tiana finally gets the money she needs to buy her restaurant, Naveen arrives in America having been cut off from his family fortune, and he's approached by the Shadow Man. But in this version, Big Daddy LaBeouf steps in to put an end to this foolishness before Naveen can be turned into a frog. I say, what have we here? New Orleans' most infamous flim-flammer trying to pull the wool over the eyes of my guest? The Shadow Man is flustered by the sabotage on such an important deal. Trying to act innocent, he says, "Ain't nothing to worry about, we were just discussing business, and none of yours, I might add." "Well now, I'm glad I arrived, if you was in for your fashion of business." Ain't that typical? Never see a white man have so much trouble introducing himself. The Shadow Man says, desperate to appeal to Naveen, "This ain't on account of you being black. It's because of the stories my employees have been exchanging about you and you being black. Now hands off my guest." Lawrence, Naveen's servant, gives him a push in LaBeouf's direction, and he gives in to the agreeing input. On their way, LaBeouf tells Naveen, "I want to say I was only adding that last bit to spike him. A man's skin color makes no difference to me. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind having a racially confusing man as my own son-in-law. Not to put ideas in your head, you understand." In the movie, Lawrence, disguised as Naveen, showed up late to the party. But in this version of events, Naveen meets up with his hosts before the party even begins. He meets Lottie, who is desperate to marry him to become a princess. She starts rambling on in her hyperactive way, and Naveen, in his personal tastes, considers her personality to be, how shall I say, a nice place to visit, but he wouldn't want to live there. What I mean is, he kind of likes hanging out with her, but not to the point where he'd want to be married to her and be exposed to her so many hours per day. So the costume party happens, and Naveen dances with Lottie. In the movie, Tiana is outbid by someone else for the place she wanted to turn into a restaurant. Right after that, Tiana accidentally makes a mess, and Lottie lets her borrow one of her dresses. In this version of events, the real Naveen is there to witness that, and it gets him to think about how he's never done something that nice for Lawrence. So Lottie comes back to dance with him some more. Tiana does not meet a frog on the balcony this time, so she goes back eventually, and she starts talking with Big Daddy LaBeouf. He asks what's wrong, she tells him about the bidding thing, and he decides to give her the money that she needs to outbid the competitor. Tiana is reluctant to accept that money because she prefers to earn what she gets, but Big Daddy LaBeouf points out that she did earn the restaurant, and his stubbornness wins out against hers. But she at least tells him that she'll pay him back. I just wanted to hand wave that part off because I wasn't really interested in doing much with it. Lottie talks to Naveen about how she's always wanted to be a princess, and Naveen thinks about how he's been cut off from his family fortune, and he was always a leech from his parents. And here he's being offered to be a leech again, and all he needs to do to get that lifestyle back is to marry a woman who he doesn't really love that much and might deserve someone who does. On some level, he does want to marry her for her fortune, but he just can't go through with it. Naveen tells her, "Lottie, you are such a magnificent woman, and you deserve something that I cannot give you. You say you want to be a princess, but you're already a princess. You have such a supportive father, you're so good to these people, you have such a strong friendship with Tiana. In my eyes, you're already a princess, and you don't need me. Lottie is a little bit disappointed at first, but she internalizes what he's saying and agrees to not be married to him. Lawrence, however, is furious that Naveen turned down an opportunity to be rich again, so he ditches him. Then Tiana asks Naveen why he broke things off with Lottie, and he tells her all about how his family cut him off and he doesn't know how to do anything, and he didn't want to be a leech on Lottie and Big Daddy LaBeouf. And Tiana is so moved that, against her better judgment, she offers him a job. She can offer only a small salary for part-time work renovating the place that she had got. It's just a little something to start him off. And that small salary isn't too much of a problem for him because Big Daddy LaBeouf is still letting him stay as a guest for a little while. So they start renovating the place together, and Naveen is struggling to adjust to all that hard work, but he's inspired by Tiana's work ethic. And meanwhile, Tiana realizes that she's been working herself too hard, and Naveen keeps the mood light by joking around, and he reminds Tiana to take breaks and get some sleep. So one night, Lottie invites Tiana to have dinner at her place, and Naveen is also in attendance. So Tiana, Naveen, Big Daddy LaBeouf, and Lottie are all at the mansion, which is where the good part happens. But what about the Shadow Man? Now that turning Naveen into a frog didn't work, he's on to plan B. The Shadow Man casts a curse on the mansion. Shadowy monsters materialize. The furniture is animated. The walls are decorated with masks singing, "Are you ready?" The Shadow Man knows that Big Daddy LaBeouf is on to him, so his plan is to get his monsters to kill Big Daddy LaBeouf, and then he plans to swoop in and save Lottie, becoming her hero and possibly getting her marriage out of her. However, he didn't count on Tiana and Naveen being there, and he also didn't count on Big Daddy LaBeouf having a few guns in his mansion. That's right, this story has a Disney princess with guns. We'll say that part of the reason is because Big Daddy LaBeouf wanted to have something to defend his mansion with, but it's also because he likes to go shooting with friends. A big hulking shadowy monster appears and tries to kill Big Daddy LaBeouf, but Tiana blasts his head off with a double-barrel shotgun. And yes, they had double-barrel shotguns in this time period. The Princess and the Frog is set in the 1920s, so they were past having to do that one bullet reload thing that took forever, where they put the stick in there with the little thing wrapped around the ball of bullet. This next part is a little out of left field, but it was very enthusiastically requested. The Shadow Man has been watching the mansion from the outside, and he is approached by Mama Odie. Odie has sensed the disturbance and came to put an end to this foolishness. She talks about how using voodoo to hurt people like this for such selfish reasons is no good, and the Shadow Man disagrees, so she starts blasting. Monsters come at Odie and she shoots down the first 3 of them. Then the Shadow Man transforms one of the monsters into an extension of his cane, and he uses it to knock the legs out from under Odie. A few of the monsters come at Odie while she's down, but she still manages to blast them. Then a dark whip, the same extension of the Shadow Man's cane, wraps around her leg, and it throws her against a neighboring house. Thankfully, Odie brought her trusty snake with her. She transforms the snake into a bird, and it flies overhead. Then she casts another spell, turning the airborne bird into a bull. When it lands, its heavy bulk crushes one of the dark monsters. The bull rampages through another monster and makes its way towards the Shadow Man. But the Shadow Man absorbs dark energy into his cane. He steps to the side just as the bull would have hit him, and he stabs the cane into his bulky flesh. Fell power spreads throughout the bull, turning it into another monster. And that bull charges at Odie next. She focuses hard on using her magic to stop the bull and rip the darkness out of it. But no sooner is that task complete than a monster comes in to take advantage of her distraction and bashes his fist against her head. She's knocked out and presumed dead. The Shadow Man is about to make sure she's dead, but then the police arrive and he decides that this has gotten too chaotic and drawn too much attention, so he goes inside the mansion. A barrier keeps the police from following him. Our heroes are putting up a good fight against the shadowy monsters, but while most of them are distracted, Lottie gets dragged away. The other three try to save her, but Lottie is carried up a staircase, and when they try to follow, the stairs flatten out and they slide down. What follows plays out similarly to Resident Evil. They go through the house shooting occasional monsters while trying to manage their ammo. Hallways with spikes on the walls close in on them. They have to break the door down before they're crushed. In order to open a door, they need to beat a boss that has the key. Stuff like that. And while they're at it, Tiana thinks about how much Lottie means to her. When she was a child, she didn't have much riches, but she had a happy childhood because she had such good friends that whole time, adding platonic love to the theme of love being so important. And while they're doing this, Naveen is feeling really good about all the monsters he's been shooting and how he's benefiting people by doing this hard work that he's even enjoying. Lottie is in a room with a big hulking monster that seems like it's about to kill her, and at this point the Shadow Man thinks that she's been through enough torment. The Shadow Man comes in about to pretend to save her, but that's when the real heroes show up. The monster tackles Big Daddy LaBeouf and pins him down. He tries to stab him with his claws, but Big Daddy LaBeouf just barely manages to hold his claws off. Tiana and Naveen open fire on the monster. It absorbs the bullets with pain, but it still keeps its position, trying to stab Big Daddy LaBeouf. Tiana rushes in with her shotgun, and she places the end of the gun near the monster's elbow. Unleashing both shells, she splatters the monster's arm in half, and it backs away from Big Daddy LaBeouf. Tiana reloads the shotgun as quickly as she can, but then the monster uses its remaining arm to knock the shotgun away. The monster is about to strike Tiana with its claws, but then Naveen comes in and smashes his shoulder against his chest, knocking him down. After landing on top of it, Naveen points his Tommy gun into the monster's chest and unloads every shot he has at point-blank range. Using the time that Naveen has bought her, Tiana finds her shotgun and positions herself next to the monster's head. She pulls a trigger and splatters the mist that it calls brains out. The Shadow Man blows his mist at them, and they see hallucinations of their dreams coming true. Dreams of a successful restaurant, dreams of riches, dreams of station, and all they have to do is help the Shadow Man marry Lottie. But Tiana has already learned what's most important. She's out of ammo, but she knocks the butt of her shotgun against his head, knocking him down and breaking the illusions. The Shadow Man's friends on the other side have seen all this, and they've given up on him repaying his debts to them. So they enact a very similar version of his death from the movie.
No, please, no. I promise I'll pay you back. I promise.
So the Shadow Man is dead. Tiana has realized the importance of love. Naveen has realized the importance of hard work. They both admit that they love each other because of how much they've enriched each other's lives. They get married. The restaurant is a huge success. Odie turns out to not be dead. Lawrence is even hired to work at the restaurants, this time treated better by Naveen. Lottie finds some guy who treats her like a princess even though he's not a prince. Big Daddy LaBeouf marries Tiana's mother. I forget her name at the moment. What was it? Eudora. Big Daddy LaBeouf marries Eudora, and they all lived happily ever after. If you enjoyed this What If, I have several other What Ifs you might enjoy. I've done What If Ariel rejected Ursula's deal, What If Zod got to Earth before Superman, What If the Beast could never be human again, What If Mirabelle killed Abuela Alma, What If living in the tower drove Rapunzel crazy, and What If Elsa never struck Anna. If you're looking for more Princess and the Frog content, I have 2 videos about the romance in the movie. I also did a review of a book called Almost There, A Twisted Tale, which is set in an alternate timeline where Tiana made a deal with the Shadow Man. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and not turn into a frog.